Today I'm going to explore one of the vintage video games from the early days of computers, and that is Oregon Trail. I chose it because it was one I played with my son, who is now 42. Found out that it was originally started in 1971, and he wasn't even born till 1980, but he and I would play it together. All the versions that I found available today are single player, but he and I used to, sit together and we would play it. He wasn't real good at reading when he first started, and so I've got some interesting versions here. And we will start with the Chromebook. And the reason I wanted to check that out is that so many schools are using Chromebooks now. The students in many schools can take them home. And so I wanted to see if there was an Android or Chromebook version, and there is in the Google Play Store. So I'll just give you a little tour of what it looks like, because I couldn't do the Apple version and the Chromebook version on this Zoom. I don't have multiple screens or whatever. So we'll just look at this little slide presentation. I just took pictures on my phone and then put them into a slide presentation. So let me share my screen.
It sounds good, Judy. We have the card game that a friend of ours from Oregon gave us. So we've never gotten the boys excited about playing it. So this may spark an interest, and
okay,
James here to kind of tell you which one he likes. That'll be,
okay.
Well,
so this is
has a very strong opinion. So we'll see how harsh he is on these platforms.
Okay, we'll share some of the screens and then I'll talk about it. There were some obvious choices on the Apple Play Store, but I chose the choices of the Oregon Trail. It looked the most, but notice it says in-app purchases. There are different chapters and there are advertisements at the bottom. I don't know if you saw that one advertisement there, but you can't do closed captioning or have text to speech. There are choices, but look at how much text. I mean, there really weren't a lot of videos until this one came up. I thought, oh, this is great. I can watch this. Oh, it's an advertisement for another game, Rise of Empires. So it's like, and it was throughout. I mean, it wasn't just one video that was there. So it didn't cost anything. It was a free download. But if the person playing didn't like to read, there wasn't a lot of graphics, which I found very, very disappointing. So that's just my take on it.
So that one was a lot of reading, and it had some ads in it.
Yeah,
a lot of reading and some ads.
And at some point, it would have asked me about, some in-app purchases for 99 cents each. And I don't know how many. I played for about 20 minutes, and I didn't get any in-app purchase options. So I don't know how many there are, but the thing that the videos it had and the graphics it had were ads. And so they weren't really to do with what the storyline. I think if a kid likes to read, it might be an option to consider, but the graphics just weren't there. So, okay, so now let's go to the Apple choice. And so you would have to have an Apple device, an iPad. I did have a very old Apple iPod, but it's too old. It was version 6 for the operating system, and the Oregon Trail in the arcade could not be installed on it. But my phone, my iPad, my Mac computer, and what was really cool is that no matter which one I played it on, when I went back to the other device, it caught up with where I was at. And I mean, I'm not very far. I think maybe only like 8 to 10%. So I think it might be something I would choose to do and keep going, and just so I can say I accomplished something. Yeah. So it does have an ending. So let's just share the screen with how you get to, let's see here. Okay, you go to,
yeah, I bet you Roger would really like this is the one Roger played, right?
I don't know. This arcade one had, I think is fairly new, like 2021 or something like that. You saw just a little peek of it, but I just went into the arcade, or I just searched online for Apple and Oregon Trail, and this was one of the choices that came up. Now, the only thing is I'm playing it for free because our family has one of those Apple Plus plans, and it says try for free, and you can do it for 1 month free, or if you buy an Apple device, you can get 3 months of the arcade games. But if I had kids, I think I might, and they like to play video games, this might be something that $5 a month would be worth it.
Okay.
Like I said, you get it free for 3 months if you buy
Yeah,
any
that's
kind of new Apple device. But luckily, our family, we share the cost for up to 6 players for Apple Music, and arcade is one of the things that comes with that
yeah.
plan. So
Yeah, we
so
just got new phones, so all of us have Apple Arcade for free.
yeah. Now you have 93 days, I don't know why 93, but 93 days to sign up or whatever, if you haven't already done that. If you have, then you probably won't even be asked. I mean, it just said, do you want to go with your whatever my me.com account was? And so I said yes. And so I don't think I'll ever probably be kicked out of the Oregon Trail thing. So anyhow, I downloaded it, and now let's see, we'll go on. This is what came up. Of course, I went to then the Mac App Store, and
Oh, yeah.
that was
ad for this.
now, once you download it or install it, then it says play here. So I just click play. Let's see how long it takes, but there's a really neat story. It's probably catching up with my iPad that I was playing on it last. Let's just go to this story while that's downloading. There's a really neat thing from Women's History Month in the Apple Store that I read about this version, but they really have made it more up to date. They didn't treat actually the creators are from Australia, and they did not think the indigenous, the Native Americans were treated fairly. They had terrible, well, just they didn't had everybody with braids, and they did a lot of research into finding out what these Native Americans in the 1800s really were like and who they were and so forth. And so one of them even has the queen, and she has 4 wives. And I said, is that a mistake? They said, no, she actually had 4 wives. And I don't want to try to remember, try to say her name because it was so long. I can say Sarah Wickamucka. They have her, but I haven't come to her yet. But I did have Moses Harris was our guide person at the beginning of the journey, and I'm not even to the halfway on the journey yet. You get to pick the characters you want to go on this, 4 people on this journey, and I picked 2 men and 2 women, and there are different choices of women and men and what they were like. And I think the guy I chose, the one guy was a farmer, but he was really said he was bullheaded or something like that. So I thought, well, that might not be bad if you were. And then one of the things I did was I had to go fishing. You could, there we are. No, let's see. So, but anyhow, the characters actually move along, and the one guy's gotten shot that was walking. The one question I have that I don't know if I'll ever find an answer is the people are always walking. The 4 people are walking. You can see, well, almost 3, 4 of them here. They're walking and pulling their wagon. And I'm like, why aren't they in their wagon? Another thing I did was we had to cross a river. This happens, I'm on my 2nd river now, but there was no ferry. The first one I had a ferry. The second one, I had to plug the wagon up so it wouldn't take on water, and the oxen pull it across. And it said there's going to be a 45% chance you won't make it. Luckily, I made it because I thought, okay, what the heck? What am I going to do? There's no ferry. There weren't too many choices. So I went on across, and I did make it. So, and we haven't run out of food yet.
No.
Going fishing was interesting.
James
Go
plays
ahead.
a game, or he doesn't play a game, he watches a show on Netflix. What's the one where you have to make decisions and the guy is like,
You've watched is Wild.
he plays, or he not plays it, he has to make a decision, choose your own adventure kind of thing. And I think he'd like this because
Oh, yeah,
after he makes a choice, then it'll say, that wasn't such a good choice. It'll allow him to go back and make a different choice and tell him why it was a bad choice.
yeah. Some of these things you can reconsider. I noticed that. It said reconsider was one of your choices. And another thing, like on the fishing, I didn't have my iPad and I was trying to do this fishing, so I would have to use my cursor. You can actually use a third-party controller, like a PlayStation controller for this. You can connect your controller to your computer. So I thought that was really good. And since you can't see it, I don't know that this is going to come up. There's only a few sentences at a time. It's not a whole page. You're always seeing something going on, like these people walking across, and the one guy got shot, so he's always kind of leaning over. I use medicine to help him. You know, that was one of the choices. You could let his wound heal itself, or you could give him medicine to help it along. And so I used the medicine, and you only have so much medicine, or you got to buy more. And yeah, I think it's really, I haven't got to where anything other than Moses, the indigenous, the Native American, helping to get through the beginning there. There is even a prologue that kind of shows you how to play by having arrows and pointing at things you should choose or not choose, whatever. And so it was so much easier to navigate. That the one from the Chromebook was just too much text. I mean, that's just really, it was a book on screen, in my estimation. So I'm giving my opinion here. I thought this was more user friendly. Then the other thing is, okay, if you don't want to pay the $5 a month or do the 3 free months if you buy an Apple device, or 1 month if you don't, then the other thing that you can do is play the original Oregon Trail that you might have played on an Apple II computer, and you just click to start. And this should work on pretty much any computer. And
oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that because that's old school for me.
Right. And so you can, okay, I'll choose travel the trail, and then I will be a banker. I'm just using number 1. What is the first name? Let's put
You want to get Judy's?
Okay, I'm going to be the leader here. And then you got to fill in the other names. So might as well put my cat in. Okay. And then again, it's very low tech. So again, very much exactly like the way you played it on the, so, and now just do a search on, the link will be below our video here, but you can just do a search for Oregon Trail MECC, MECC, and it came right up. The Minneapolis or Minnesota web page that's for travel, just a travel page, also had a link to this. So that's how I knew it was available. So, but today I just did a search, and I didn't even know there was this thing called Internet Archive. And so you go through the thing here, and you can just follow the directions at the bottom, whatever it says, and use your keyboard just like you originally would have done.
This looks a little bit like the Minecraft store to me. James, what do you think? Like when you go into the Minecraft store, don't you get to choose what you want to buy and click on it? And is there a Minecraft store or something that you guys get to buy?
There's a marketplace.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because sometimes they need food or meat, and if there's no animal, don't you need to get things to survive?
No, you do, but you have to like kill animals to get the meat, and there's berries.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. This sounds very much, maybe they kind of took things from Oregon Trail for Minecraft, because there were berries, and I chose not to eat the berries on the tree. the one guy in the thing, the farmer looked at him and he said, I just don't know, these could be poisonous. And so I chose not to eat the berries, but he's exactly, you can hunt with, you can have rifles, and you can hunt.
There's actually poison potatoes in it.
Wow, I didn't know there were any poison potatoes. I knew berries could be, and mushrooms can be poisonous. So those are my 3 different versions. But I mean, obviously today, the one that's working best on my computer here would be the original MEC version. And I don't think there'd be, you could even compare it to the Apple version and the indigenous, the Native Americans, and compare the 2 differences, because obviously you can go through the Oregon Trail as many times as you want to by starting over. So that's my take on Oregon Trail.
Okay, that's nice. My favorite so far is this one because it reminds me of when I, the slow boot and the way that you had to, old school computer, and it just takes me back, and I think, what is it? I'm going to say it wrong, but 64-bit is kind of coming back.
Yeah.
So I think I like this one. I have a feeling, James, this one, the one in the middle that had like the animation, or the one that had all the reading, which one was your favorite?
The one that had the animation.
Yeah, that's what I thought he'd choose.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I would think that most people, especially in summertime, students could go through the arcade one in a month with the free, without having to worry about paying anything, and then compare it. Go do this one next, or vice versa, and compare the 2 about how were the indigenous people treated, what were the differences, what were the similarities, because I heard that when they made the arcade Oregon Trail Apple version, that they looked at this version here, the MEC version, that the original version, to use many of the same things, but they just updated it more and studied history more. So
that's cool. Very cool, Judy. I love that.
But I want to check out this Internet Archive and see what other kind of video games they have in there.
You read my mind. That's the next thing I was going to do. I definitely am going to get the card game out and make all of us sit down and kind of play them. But also I wanted to see what other games are archived that take me back to, there was one that I played all the time. It was called You Don't Know Jack, but that was like, yeah, it's not the 70s or the 80s. It's not that far back. But I kind of was interested in, there was one I used to play on my Windows machine that was called Emergency Room and all that kind of stuff. So I'm intrigued to see what kind of archived games they have.
Emergency
Yeah.
Room?
So
It's like a good name.
Yeah. So, oh, well, that was great, Judy. Thank you for showing that. And I think we have activities for us later. They've been using Apple Arcade, so I think we'll download that one and see what it looks like.